expected, the Cavaliers picked up Timothy Mozgov's $5 million option for next season on Tuesday. Meanwhile, there's still been no decision from Kevin Love or J.R. Smith as to whether or not they will opt out. LeBron can opt out, and he has until next week to do so. But clearly the relationship between LeBron and David Blatt is not strong, to say the least. So, George, I'll start with you again. What does LeBron need to win a championship with the Cavs next season?
Well, I think most importantly, he needs health.
Yeah.
Kyrie, obviously, Kevin Love's health status was, we saw what it was during the postseason. But I just think that team, it kind of reminded me of the Miami Heat in 2011, where like LeBron and the other guys were just kind of taking turns. There was really no cohesion there. LeBron felt most comfortable when he was out there with a bunch of role players who were just going to grind and play defense and shoot the ball. Now, that wasn't enough against a Warriors team that had been the best all season long, but I do think that that's really what they need. They need some cohesion. They need health. Those are the two most important factors for them. Now, I don't think they are a lock to win a championship, but they certainly can win the East, and because the East is pretty weak right now. Now, out West, look, it just depends on what the matchup is. If they get Golden State again, we'll see how that goes. San Antonio, do they have one more run in them? I think the West is more of a bigger problem, but ultimately they need health and cohesion.
Well, and those things are fixable. You have cohesion if you have health. I mean, it's difficult when you have players in and out of the lineup. You don't know who's going to be healthy, when, those kind of things. That affects your chemistry, and I think you're absolutely right. So I'm saying if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And they did a very good job with the crew they had, overachieved when you think about the impact of Kyrie Irving and Kevin Love. The one thing that does concern me a little is that in the finals losses against Golden State for Cleveland, they shot 26% from the three-point line. They have got to knock down shots. Now, JR is capable. I mean, they've got some capable pieces there. But do they look to add a piece? Because LeBron's going to get into the paint. And he wants to have someone to kick it to that can knock down the outside shot. So that may be an opportunity to tweak things just a little bit. But in terms of that core group, I think they've got everything they need. Like you said, they just need to be healthy.
But, China, it's funny that you said that J.R. Smith is the one person that I think that can be replaced. Because I think when crunch time came, he was the one that didn't show out as well as he could have. But everyone knows that this is the team that if they're 100% healthy, they're the team to beat. And as far as cohesion goes, hey, when you guys are all healthy and get together, one, everyone's waiting to see what LeBron's going to do first. Then we'll find out Kevin Love and Kyrie. But this group has got to be looking at one another going, yeah, you in? We're good? Okay, let's do it. And, okay, now what we need to do, we need to go on either a retreat or a fishing trip together. That's going to build.
Well, they got to be in the clique. Like Kevin Love wasn't in the clique. Kevin Love wasn't in the Instagram pictures. And that's an issue, I think, potentially. Not the Instagram pictures, but just the fact that Kevin Love seemed like, or at least was portrayed as an outsider of sorts. And I think that if they're going to win a championship, they need all three guys. I know that they played very well, and Tristan is going to get a big contract, and Tristan played well. You need to be diverse, dynamic in this league. You got to be able to play multiple styles to win. It's what the Golden State Warriors did. They can play big, they can play small, and they can play to almost any style. The Spurs, when they were winning championships, they did it that way. So I think that that's what you need. You need as much flexibility with that roster as possible to make yourself the most dynamic you can. And with Kevin Love specifically, you need to make sure he buys in, because it just doesn't seem like that's the case. And we don't know if he's in or he's out at this point.
Well, but LeBron is one of the best when it comes to empowering players and making everyone on his team feel important. He knows he needs Kevin Love. So what I expect LeBron is doing right now is saying, Kevin, we need you to be here. We need you to be a piece of this puzzle, and really pulling him in, because I think you're absolutely right. He has got to be there and be on board. Now, the one thing that I am thinking about is David Blatt. LeBron had to do so much for this team: scoring, rebounding, distributing the ball, and then in some instances he had to play coach as well. Now, are these things fixable? I think Blatt is a good guy. You know, I think obviously he did something right. Let's be real. You know, I mean, look at what the team was able to achieve. But I think he has got to go about also trying to gain some trust with LeBron and some of those guys, that some of those things that we saw happen last year hopefully won't repeat themselves, because you can lose a team like that.
Right. Do you think that relationship between LeBron and Blatt can be improved?
Absolutely. This is one of the things where it kind of makes me laugh a little bit that David Blatt gets thrown under the bus so much. Think about this. In business, the people at the top, they're in offices right now. Well, the people that are out doing stuff, they're on the ground. You need a general on the ground. That's LeBron. You got a general on the floor. So you might draw up whatever plan. Hey, this looks like it might work. It's going to be good. When the guy who's out there playing is going to come to the sideline and go, nah, that's not going to work in this situation, and this is why we got to change it. You got a coach that's smart enough to go, yeah, okay, well, you were out there. You know what you're doing. That can only make a relationship like that stronger when you know you have a coach that will yield to the best player in the NBA, because you figure you might see some stuff that I'm not seeing. That's a smart move by
But
Black.
you have to see your timeouts, though. You definitely have to
Okay, that part I give you. He just got a little excited in the moment.
Here's the thing, Michael, though. He was run under the bus because, let's face it, LeBron ran him under the bus, though. Okay?
But then LeBron was also the one that also stuck up for him later then, too.
Well, I don't know. I mean, did he? Where? Where did he stick up for him? Where did he stick up for him?
LeBron. So what you're saying is LeBron was the one that threw him under the bus and then never said anything good about
Brian
David Black?
Windhorst, who covers the NBA here, told the story on radio where he said LeBron likes having Black to kick around. Okay, that was a quote, a direct quote from Brian Windhorst, our ESPN NBA insider. LeBron doesn't want a checks and balance system. LeBron went back to Cleveland because he wanted the power. Okay, he's only getting paid $20 million or whatever it is, and I know that sounds ridiculous when you say only $20 million, but he's worth a lot more. Okay, and you probably, if there were no cap, you'd probably pay him 50, to be quite honest with you, because it's not only what he does for that particular organization, whose valuation went from like 500 million to like almost $1 billion overnight when he came over. It's what he does for the rest of that city, how he empowers the rest of that city financially. There's a lot of things that come with having LeBron on your team. So you know what? If you can't pay him, you got to give it to him in power, and that's what he wants. He is the boss. It's not Dan Gilbert who's the boss. He's the boss. It's not David Griffin who's the GM. LeBron's the GM. It's not David Blatt who's the coach. It's LeBron. And honestly, I got no problem with it.
Do you think David Blatt might have a problem with that?
That's up to him.
Because at some point, if you're the coach, you're going to be like, look, I'm calling something here.
You might want to ride the gravy train, and you can't blame him.
I don't see David Blatt as a guy to go, hey, this is awesome. I just get to pick out nice suits and make sure that I got my timeout. Oh, no, I ain't got that.
At the beginning of the season, he wanted to come in and run the Princeton offense, and they scrapped that thing in the preseason. LeBron was like, nah, forget that.
Well, but LeBron has to also realize that he can't do it all. I mean, if you are mentally exhausted at the end of the game, I mean, you've seen the numbers, the scoring, the rebounding, the passing. You need to have someone that you at least know is not going to mess it up. You know what I mean? I mean, he can take care of, he can close the game, but in my opinion, he shouldn't have to coach during that stretch or in overtime in the finals. Like I'm not saying that David Blatt can't let him have his say. However, which is, obviously what LeBron wants, but David Blatt's got to bring something to the table. And I'm not saying he does it, but he can't call that timeout.
Is there any chance LeBron doesn't come back to Cleveland?
Oh, no, he's coming back.
No.
Now, what he can do to get his way is he's got the opt-out, and he can go on radio silence, and then all of a sudden he's freaking people out, because I would be freaking out, because he could just say, all right, look, if they don't do what I want to do, then he can threaten to leave, but I don't think he's ever going to leave, because he wants to be there. He wants to win for that particular part of the country. He is an affinity for that area. Obviously, growing up in Akron, we all know the story coming home, but I think that is part of it, and I almost think that because the marketing has been part of it, I don't think he has any choice but to stay there, but he can at least threaten that when it comes to the Cavs.
It's an empty threat. Where's he going? And it's an empty threat. Where are you going to go?
No.
That's not only if the power that he has.
It's
like
easy
you
to
said.
leave. Once you've left once, it's easy to leave again.
But you're just
I'm not saying he is.
You're just starting to get the fans back in. You're just starting to get that love for Cleveland back. I don't think you want to threaten.
You're building your brand.
You don't think that
you want to see them burn in New Jersey again?
You don't think the fans would blame Dan Gilbert and management over LeBron? Because I do. I think that fans would blame the organization and not LeBron.
Nah, not when we have shows like this that are going to call him out. Nah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, most people say the #1 pick in Thursday's draft will be Okafor or Towns, but will D'Angelo Russell be the best player? Find out next. Well, two sources told Benjamin Albright of 94.1 FM in Denver that the Broncos tried to trade Peyton Manning to the Texans sometime before the Denver quarterback signed his restructured deal with the team on March 4th. This report was quickly denied on Twitter by a Broncos team spokesman, saying the speculation is false and the report is inaccurate. Michael, are you buying the denial?
Completely? No, only because it's a little bit ironic that as soon as this call may or may not have been made, Peyton's deal was restructured and there was a no trade clause put into there. Now it's the Texans. They don't have a quarterback, so they're probably going to call anybody.
Sure.
You know, now the Broncos could have just not even taken a call, because if you think about it, the Texans are calling and, hey, Denver, we want to ask you a little bit about Peyton Manning, and we were wondering if you, hello? Did we lose the connection? They're not calling. So in that sense, Denver just probably didn't even think about the idea. No, absolutely not. But could it have happened and there's been some talks? I would say there's a little smoke there. Maybe not fire, but a little bit of smoke.
Sure. I agree with Michael. I think that teams have discussions in general. Right, we're seeing it right now play out in the NBA with Dwayne Wade, right? He's been a guy who's been a star there forever, and there's been some stuff that's been leaked about contracts and him not being happy and them not being happy with where they want him to come in at. So this doesn't surprise me at all. Teams have these discussions, and there was a time when Gary Kubiak was named the coach that people were wondering, is Peyton going to be the right fit? He likes to run the naked boot a lot, and that means Peyton's going to have to get out of the pocket and run out of his comfort zone. So there were a lot of questions certainly about that. There were questions as to whether John Elway wanted to move on from Peyton Manning. So all that stuff, people forget that was just a few months ago. So of course I buy the story that they at least discussed it. And what are they going to do? Are they not going to deny it? They're supposed to deny it in that situation, because I'm guaranteeing that Peyton wasn't a part of that particular process.
Yeah, I think you don't discuss Peyton Manning at all. That's my take on it. I believe the Denver Broncos. I mean, this is Peyton Manning. You off the top, you say, listen, we can't talk about him. I'll give you anything else you want, but not Peyton Manning. Why would they have that discussion? I don't understand. Denver is in a lose-lose situation there. Why would you give up Peyton Manning?
Because you have to listen to everything that people are going to offer.
But if you already
Even
know,
when it comes to Peyton Manning, hey, what are you throwing on the table?
Yeah, what does it hurt to listen?
Hey, exactly. Just because I go to a steak restaurant doesn't mean I'm going to get steak. I might have chicken, but show me the prime. What does the prime rib look like? Right. Let me see what the ribeye is. Show me a little. Okay, I'm not going to do it, but thank you for showing me.
Maybe you go surfing.
Now the next time is, you know what, I'm going to have some chicken. Look at that ribeye. You know what? Yeah, I will take the ribeye. Why not? That's okay, and it's okay to do
I think teams discuss that internally. I do think teams discuss all that stuff internally.
And that's why they have to deny it, because Peyton wasn't involved. That's why they have to deny it.
But you would never want that to get back to Peyton Manning. That's my whole thing.
Too late.
And Houston has no reason to hide that. So now it gets back to your quarterback, and what does that do? So I don't even think you talk about it. You take him off the table right away, which I believe they did. I don't believe in it at all. And why now?
Well,
why
Peyton understands that.
Well, because look at his age. Look at his age, and look at his arm strength continues to deteriorate. He's up in age. He had the problems with the quad that affected his already arm strength that's not great at this stage of his career. So you look at a guy, you think, okay, is his body deteriorating? What can we get for him? I think those are internal discussions that any team would have with an aging superstar like him, even though he's still performing at a pretty high level.
Well, and if I'm Peyton Manning and I don't hear anyone talking about anything after everything they said was wrong with me before, that makes me more nervous. Now, how come nobody talking about trading me? What's the deal? What's going on? Like, that means that something's going on behind my back.
Sure. Well, to your point, George, he's 39 now. How much does Peyton really have left in the tank?
Maybe another year or two.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what you're looking at. So if you're the Broncos, you're weighing it out, seeing, okay, what could we get for him? Is it worth it potentially to move him? What would the backlash be? All that stuff is factored in. Again, those are discussions that are had internally that usually don't include the player, especially in that sport. Football is the most cutthroat of all the sports.
Yeah.
Which is why he had the no trade clause put in when he
After
did his
the fact.
restructured deal.
And I agree with you, another year or so, but gosh, it's hard for me to bet against Peyton Manning, because
I hear you.
Just when you think he's ran out of gas, he comes up with a punch.
Yep, proves you wrong.
It's hard for me.
Well, meanwhile, Rob Gronkowski says he hasn't spent a cent of his contract with the Patriots. We'll talk Gronk as part of our NFL Quick Takes when we come back.
Yeah.